The third design element is feature areas. Feature areas are just that. They are areas within a store that are featured. They are there to get the customer's attention. They are there to draw you in and to hopefully get you to spend more money. There are a total of 7 different feature areas that retailers can utilize. They are freestanding displays, mannequins, end caps, promotional areas or aisles, walls, dressing rooms, and cash wraps. The first feature area that we talk about is freestanding displays. Freestanding displays are fixtures that are located on aisles and designed primarily to attract customers' attention and bring them into a specific department. These displays showcase new or exciting merchandise, often with a theme or a holiday for display. Let's look at 2 examples. On the left, we have an example of Pop-Tart's new flavors, Orange Crush and A&W Root Beer. Pop-Tarts likely created a display for these products because they wanted to draw customers' attention in and encourage them to try these new flavors. On the right, we have an example of a holiday display made from Pepsi soda cases. In this display, Pepsi likely does not want customers to take products from the display to purchase, but instead enjoy the visual appeal of the display and purchase products that are located in front of the display. The second feature area we talk about is mannequins. Mannequins are a life-size representation of the human body. They are used primarily for displaying apparel. Originally, when retailers started using mannequins, they were very plain. They were very boring. Often these mannequins did not even have a head. If you recall, it might have just been a torso or from maybe the neck down. There was no actual distinction in that mannequin. It was just a plastic blob holding merchandise. Retailers have realized, though, in recent years, that by using mannequins with more realistic features, they can help personify the brand. Mannequins can help create an ideal image customers have of their merchandise. I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I go to a store and I see a mannequin dressed in a super cute outfit that's 5 sizes too small, I'm probably going to walk right past it because that item looks fantastic on the mannequin, but since I'm clearly not the same size as that mannequin, the item is most likely going to look terrible on me. So I'm just going to keep walking right past that item. And honestly, I'm not even going to give it a second thought. I'm just going to move forward. Retailers have realized that mannequins need to look like their customers. If they put heads on the mannequins, they put faces on them, they give them makeup and eyebrows and eyelashes and hair, and they paint their fingernails. They make them for different sizes of customers. Then, when the customer comes into the store, they can see themselves wearing the item that's on the mannequin. By using mannequins more effectively, retailers can increase spending, and they're also increasing customer satisfaction. If I go into a store and I see a bunch of mannequins that look nothing like me, I'm not going to be a satisfied customer. However, if the retailer makes the mannequins more realistic to the customer base, they're creating loyalty through satisfaction. In these examples, you can see different components of mannequins. On the left, you can see a mannequin family from Old Navy wearing Christmas attire. This mannequin display is nice because even though they do not have heads, they do represent the entire family, including the dog, which is a key component in Old Navy's strategy. In the middle, you can see the 3 mannequins on the left have faces with features such as eyes, nose, mouth, and hair, giving the perception that these are real people. The mannequins also have a complete outfit, including shoes and accessories. On the right, you can see a mannequin from the store 511. This store has more of a rugged persona. The mannequin does have facial features, but does not have as realistic of a look as the mannequins in the middle image. The third feature area is end caps. End caps are displays that are located at the end of an aisle of stores that use a grid layout. In a previous video, we talked about grid layouts, and we talked about even in racetrack layouts, sometimes retailers will use grids within the racetrack. End caps are going to be specifically on grid aisles, whether it's in a full grid layout or a grid within a racetrack. End caps are great feature areas because they have high visibility. The purchase of products placed on end caps increases significantly compared to having that product only located on the aisle. We talked about our grid layout that customers don't always go up and down every single aisle, but they are likely to pass by many end caps. Retailers put higher margin or more expensive merchandise on these end caps. They might also put impulse items on the end caps, or they could even put sale merchandise on the end caps. By using these items, higher margin merchandise, impulse items, and sale items, retailers will increase purchases just based on their use of end caps. Let's look at examples. The first example is from PetSmart, and the second example is from Target. Let's step back a minute though and talk about Walmart and Target. If you're familiar with Walmart and Target, which I'm sure most of you are, Target does this, I think, a little bit better than Walmart does, but they both still do it. You've noticed in Walmart and Target, both are going to have racetrack layouts most of the time, and they're going to have grids within them. In our racetrack, as we're going around the main loop, the end caps that are facing the main aisle will have the higher margin merchandise. Why do you think that is? Why do you think those end caps that are facing the main aisle are the ones that have the higher margin or the more expensive merchandise? Are you thinking because more people will pass by those end caps? Great! People are more likely to walk past end caps that are facing the main aisle because you take that main aisle to get around the store. Retailers know this, and they put the more expensive items on the end caps that customers are walking past already, and they're likely to grab these items as opposed to walking down the aisle to pick up a cheaper item. Now, go to the other end of that aisle that's closer to the outside of the building. Here, you're against the back wall of the store. What kind of merchandise do you see on those end caps that are opposite of the main aisle? Are you thinking about the sale merchandise? I'm hoping you are. Retailers will put their sale merchandise on the end cap facing either the outside wall or the back wall. This is an excellent place to consolidate sale or clearance items, and customers know this. Customers are trained, and they're willing to go all the way down one aisle and then walk along the end caps of the outside wall or the back wall to look for those sale items. In this case now, we're utilizing both sides of the end cap really well to highlight specific merchandise on each one. On the end cap that faces the main aisle, retailers highlight the more expensive or the higher margin items. Then, on the back wall, they are highlighting the sale or the clearance merchandise. Our fourth feature area is promotional aisles or areas. Promotional aisles or areas are spaces that will display merchandise that is being promoted. I know you've seen the back to school promotion areas, you've seen the Christmas promotional areas. Basically, every major holiday creates a promotional area for our supercenters. Christmas, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, 4th of July, back to school, Halloween, and Thanksgiving. And I'm sure I'm missing some, but I think you get the picture. You've seen these promotional areas or aisles in stores. What section of the store do you typically see the promotional area or the promotional aisle in? Did you say the back of the store? That's what I thought you said. The promotional areas or promotional aisles are typically going to be in the back of the store. Why? Well, if retailers put the promotional area or promotional aisles in the back of the store, it forces customers to walk past more merchandise that's not on sale or that's not being promoted, and will hopefully increase purchasing in those sections. Here we have two examples of promotional areas, both in Target. The first example is for back to school shopping. Target puts the school supplies in the back of the store, which forces parents to walk through clothing, shoes, accessories, etc., and reminds them to purchase some of that merchandise as well. The second example shows Christmas decorations in the promotional area. In this example, customers likely walk past many Christmas gift options, toys, or food on their way to the back of the store, again, increasing potential purchasing. The fifth feature area we discuss are walls. Because floor space inside retail stores is limited, many retailers will utilize walls to increase available product selections. Walls allow for merchandise to be seen from a distance, as it may go higher than some of the fixtures. Walls can also be used to create coordinated displays with products on the floors, so customers can see how merchandise fits together. In the two examples of walls, you can see each retailer is taking a different approach. In the example on the left, PetSmart is utilizing the wall as extra storage for large items, such as dog beds. Shelving is used to sort the beds by size and type. In the example on the right, 511 is using walls to display additional merchandise while also enhancing the image of the store. You can see the graphic behind the pants promotes an active outdoor lifestyle, and 4 different types of pants are being displayed on mannequins with a sign next to each one indicating the specific style of pants. In this example, the pants are neatly folded with the size tags aligning, separated by color and likely size. The sixth feature area we talk about is dressing rooms. Why is the dressing room a featured area? Isn't this more of a private area where we don't want people to be invited into as groupings? Why would a retailer want to feature dressing rooms? Dressing rooms should be featured because this is where the customer decides whether or not they're going to buy the merchandise. This is the space that you try the item on to see if it looks nice, and then you decide if you're going to buy that item along with any other items, or you're just going to turn around and walk right out of the store without purchasing anything. For dressing rooms, the book tells us that they need to be large, clean, and comfortable to put the customer in the mood to buy. That sounds about right, but do we remember what the first store objective was? When we talked about store design objectives, the first one was to implement the retailer's strategy. While yes, we absolutely want a large, clean, and comfortable dressing room, The dressing room also needs to fit with the strategy of the store. The last thing about dressing rooms is that retailers are beginning to offer virtual dressing rooms to online shoppers to reduce risk and increase purchasing. Let's look at some examples of dressing rooms. In the first example, this is a dressing room that meets the requirements and needs of most customers. The dressing room is large, clean, and comfortable looking. It's also well lit. The second example is a fitting room at Ross. When you think about fitting rooms at Ross, do you think about how spacious they are or how luxurious they are? Probably not. When you go into a fitting room in Ross, you pretty much expect to stand on the top of your shoes if you have to take your pants off. If you're trying on pants or a dress or a skirt, you don't want your feet to touch the floor. You don't want your clothing to touch the floor. And honestly, you expect the dressing room to be pretty terrible. And unfortunately, that's consistent with the strategy. We do want dressing rooms to be large, comfortable, and clean, but we also need to make sure they fit with the strategy. Would Ross's dressing rooms benefit from being cleaner? Absolutely they would. Is that going to happen though? Probably not. The next image shows a dressing room with a table and set of chairs in the middle section. We can see that this dressing room is a little bit more of a minimalistic type dressing room, but we can see that it's clean, it's open, and it's well lit. Why do you think this retailer put a table and chairs in the middle of a dressing room? If customers are shopping with friends or significant others, sometimes they want to get the opinion of their guests for the item they are trying on. So, if the retailer gives friends or significant others a place to sit, it will make the experience much more comfortable and relaxing. While you are trying on the items, you won't feel rushed to change in and out of the clothing quickly to show that person. The last example is of a virtual dressing room. You can see in the image that the individual is sitting at home in what appears to be a living room and is trying on a pair of shoes. While this person cannot try on a specific size, they can see how the shoes look on their feet. Virtual dressing rooms are also being used for home items. Have any of you purchased or looked at purchasing an item from Wayfair or Overstock? If you're looking for home items on either of these websites, you can use the camera on your phone and place the item that you're looking at in your house. As an example, the other day, I was looking at a KitchenAid mixer. I virtually put that KitchenAid mixer on my counter and was able to see whether or not I liked it, whether or not it matched with the other decor in the room, if it looked too big, or if it looked too small. We can also use virtual dressing rooms for paint. If you go to Sherwin-Williams paint website, or if you go to the HGTV website, you can again use the camera on your phone to virtually paint a room in your home and see if you like that color before buying the full can of paint. The last feature area we discuss are cash wraps. Cash wraps are also known as point of purchase counters or checkout areas. This is the area within the store where the actual purchase of merchandise happens. Because customers often have to wait in line before making a purchase, this is a great place for retailers to place impulse merchandise. Items placed in the cash wrap area are relatively low in price. This is a space the retailer cannot use for large or bulky items. So you might see things like candy, chips, snacks, trial size products, or small essentials such as batteries, lip gloss, or headache medicine. In the first example we have here, PetSmart is displaying different tag options for your pet at the checkout counter. If customers are shopping for their pet, a tag is a small item that may be forgotten about until checking out. In the second example, we have the cash wrap area at Old Navy. Here we can see that Old Navy has a variety of products from socks to sunglasses to snacks. This wraps up our 7 different feature areas of freestanding displays, mannequins, end caps, promotional areas or aisles, walls, dressing rooms, and cash wraps.